Greetings, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here, Spirit Silver Moon. Um, for Standing Holy Hierophant or Harmony Energy Healing. And a friend shared something with me today. It was like an invitation to something that was talking about religious liberty. Okay, and so that might be different things to different people. And hopefully that means that people are allowed to follow what they choose to follow, believe what they choose to believe, because it's all part of everybody's individual journey. And that probably includes letting people believe whatever they feel like they need to believe, even if we don't agree with it, or even if we're afraid of it, or whatever. Okay. I don't think religion was intended to be a big bashing party of bashing other religions. That hasn't been helpful throughout history if we just observe or experience. Okay. So, what I told my friend was this, is that, so I was brought up Christian, but it wasn't, thankfully, it wasn't, like a fundamentalist, a literalist, fire and brimstone, major control freak thing. Okay. So, within us might be an inherent, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, drive or call or something about being good and doing what is right. Our understanding of what that is. Okay. And that comes through, people call it morals, people call it compassion, people call it knowing. We might be brought up that way and taught it, but it also might come from within us, or both. Okay. So what I told her was, I had observed people under the label of Christian not acting like Christians, being like very judgmental and very egoic and hurtful to people. And I'm like, well, I don't get that. So I began to be a true seeker. And so I really went on a path of deep studying. And that's not just going to Sunday school and being directed by someone there and reading, what they tell you to read, and then they tell you how to understand it. No, I studied early Christian scriptures, many of them, biblical scholars, to help understand deeper metaphoric meanings, and spiritual teachers. Okay, and they all like wove together very nicely for deeper understanding. And what it showed me was that I don't need a religion to make me feel safe or worthy or controlled. In fact, the more I learned about organized religion, the less I liked it. Although I like church, I like the idea of going to church, and I like when you go to church sometimes where you do feel uplifted, and you're learning about brotherly love. So there's good parts of it, yeah. And then there's parts where they try to beat it into you that you're some kind of a worthless sinner because they're misinterpreting scripture, and they're not quite in touch with God, or at least the Most High. So that gets kind of interesting. And so along my journey of learning emotional healing modalities, energy healing for emotional and spiritual healing, of learning that, of studying, like I said, Gnostic scriptures, just the mystical, the deeper spiritual meaning of something before it was stripped away by the literalists, okay? So that actually made me feel closer, to have a deeper understanding of Jesus, of God, and what God even is. People could have a discussion for days about God and what they feel that is, and still not even touch on it, okay? So it's not like, something wrap up in some neat, tidy little box so that you feel comforted or comfortable. or lazy or lackadaisical, or thinking that someone else is going to do something for you, that you don't have to do anything, that you're just here for the ride, like you're not here to learn something, you're not here to contribute, or some such nonsense. So this is what I told my friend, and I said, I now don't want to, or don't allow myself to get drawn into religious arguments of which church is right. I like to discuss religions. In other words, what I have learned to date and how I understand it with someone else who has learned something else to date and how they understand it, because we learn from each other. I like to be open for that. So I like to discuss that. But it's not a contest of which one's right and which one's wrong, because that would be ego and or fear and or programming and conditioning and control. Okay, so in the same thing with political, I said I don't like to allow myself to get drawn into the sides of political arguments, because it's an energy vampire. It's an energy suck, and it sucks. And I see it going on all the time. And so this is what I said to her, because it's this big thing about some statue being put somewhere and it's darkness and all this other thing. Our behavior, if we're in resentment and hatred towards anything political or religious or whatever, if we're in that energy, negative, lower vibrational, resentment, hatred, lashing out, finding fault, criticizing, that's darkness, people. That's some dark magic. It rules a lot of people. They don't even get it because they're so caught up in it, and they just feed it. They just feed it with their thoughts and their nasty comments. So what I said to her is, I said, Christians seem to label everything that they fear or don't understand or are afraid of as Satan. Okay. So, and I said, here's the thing, we feed things with our thoughts and our energy and what we focus on. So if we're focusing on, let's say, a God that cares about people, and then we go out and we care about people, what are we creating with that? Or if we focus on bashing people in the media, okay, political stuff, oh my God, American corporate media, diabolical trap of fear-mongering, getting you to fight against each other. Shackles on those legs, people. You got the key. Whip it out and use it. So what I was saying to her is, be very careful and try to be more aware of what you're giving your thoughts and your energy to. So many Christians talk so much about Satan. Oh, Satan this and Satan that, and their thoughts and their focus and their energy is feeding that dark energy, whatever it is that they try to label with one name. Okay, so they're feeding it. Now, they might think they're fighting it, but they're feeding it. So now we can fight darkness, the other end of the spectrum, with kindness and non-judgment and forgiveness, okay, and helping people. How do we help ourselves? By helping others, especially. So that's one way to fight darkness, is to not get drawn into it, okay, and do something higher than it. Instead of talking about Satan and being fearful of Satan and, shaking your fists and whatever people need to do. But all I'm saying is, be careful of what you're feeding with what you focus your thoughts on. And be careful what you're afraid of, too, because it's the same thing. It's giving your power away. Okay, so this is just a discussion about religious liberties. Sometimes people find that the time has come to rise above religion because it helped them and it directed them or redirected them. And they learn from it. They don't have to stay there unless they need to. Unless they need to for their spiritual growth and healing. If they need to, fine. But sometimes we realize that God is so much more than that and way beyond that. And we want to know that higher part of God, beyond religion, some of us. Okay, so that's just what this one's about, is what we're giving our energy to, what we're stuck in. And a lot of the times when we're stuck there, we don't realize it. When we are hurting and we feel like we've been so wronged and we're lashing out at that thing, we're not accepting. It's going to keep hitting us until we stop resisting it, until we come to some level of acceptance. and then we can move forward. But if we don't do that, then we can't. I'm going to keep this at 10.